just a horrible, horrible situation for them.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Hello and welcome back to Take a Side. I'm your host, Max McElroy. We've got a great show for you today. We are in one of the busiest times of the year for sports, and we will be discussing NHL, NBA, and KU hoops. Be sure to get the Sided Debates app or go to sided.co to vote, comment, and interact with users about the hottest topics in sports and entertainment. The more you post, the more points you can get to climb that leaderboard for a chance at a $25 Amazon gift card. Moving into our first debate, we have Jack McGar and Aiden Pezzold to discuss the award predictions for the 2021-2022 NBA season. With all the exciting teams and storylines this year, who do you think will take home the awards? Jack, let's start with you.
Well, I think I have to go Giannis Antetokounmpo for this year. Although I think a lot of the voters are going to be pretty burnt out voting Giannis again for a third MVP now. Mm-hmm. I think the Bucks are getting very underrated, especially after coming off a championship. They've really only gotten better, not exactly with the roster, especially after losing P.J. Tucker. I think that hurts them a lot. Yeah. But I think that's going to put more on Giannis, especially on the defensive end, to have to show out and be not only the offensive giant that he is, but also going back to his Defensive Player of the Year prowess that he had. Mm-hmm. So I think really he's going to show out on both the offense and defensive end, and I think he's going to lead the Bucks to probably a number one seed in the East this year.
Wow, really? So for me, my MVP candidate is James Harden. Although he's had a rough start to his first 3 games, I think he's just had a hard time adjusting to the new rule changes in the NBA. But for me, he's also, since I've seen him, he has been the best, most destructive offensive player we have ever seen in the NBA. And I think this year, just him and KD without Kyrie are going to really take a leap forward. I think they're having a rough start, but I think they're going to continue to be dominant.
I think Harden is going to really struggle with those rules, and he's showing that right now. But I think I agree. Without Kyrie, he's going to have a little bit more workload. But I think with that team, I think KD is going to take more of the workload rather than Harden. I think we're seeing KD really become an all-around player, which he already has been, but he's getting triple-doubles every night. So I think Harden's going to kind of struggle with these new rules. I don't know if he's going to win MVP, but I think Giannis is really going to show out this year, and I think he's going to lead the Bucks past the Nets in the Eastern Conference.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's fair to say. Knowing what Giannis did last year, it's hard not to say that. I will say I have my doubts, and I think he got his one MVP. I don't know too much this year, but I will say a sleeper pick, Luka Doncic, this might be his time. But I hear you have something for most improved player.
Yeah, I think most improved player this year is going to be probably Jordan Poole for the Warriors. I think really he's showing out as the number 2 option on the Warriors team, and I think this Warriors team is going to go really far in the Western Conference. I think people are underrating them with Wiseman out, Klay Thompson out. Mm-hmm. But I think people really underestimate what Steph can do by himself. Yeah. I mean, he put up a 40-something point game three nights ago. Yeah, 25 points in the first quarter, not missing a single shot. I think Jordan Poole as the second option on that roster is really going to show out, and I think he's going to win most improved.
And I honestly agree. I think Jordan Poole in the preseason really showed really what he's capable of. Although with that said, I think Michael Porter Jr. this year, with Jamal Murray out on the Nuggets, will really take a second stride and less of more of a corner shooter or a catch and shoot kind of guy. I think he's going to look to create more down for himself and take it to the cup more with help from players like Aaron Gordon and Will Barton, along with the former MVP, Nikola Jokic. But I think Michael Porter Jr., with the contract extension he got over the summer, is going to be a lot more motivated to really go get it done on the court.
I think with MPJ, for me, my only doubts are he's still so young, and he has to really mature into the role. Yeah. No one's doubting his talent by any means, but I think it's really, can he show that he can take good, efficient shots consistently and not force stuff? And if he can do that, I agree. He probably will win the most improved player. But for me, Jordan Poole is already showing that he has matured. Mm-hmm. He is a clear second option on a pretty talented roster, even without Klay and James Wiseman. So I think for me, Jordan Poole is easily, by far and away, the front runner for this award.
And some call Jordan Poole the third Splash Brother for those that may not know. And Rookie of the Year, what are you thinking?
I had Jalen Green as my Rookie of the Year, but I'm switching it. I'm picking Davion Mitchell from the Kings this year. He, in the 3 games or 4 games they've played so far, he is showing me that he's trying to get Defensive Player of the Year this year. Yeah. They're calling him off night. He's already got a nickname 3 or 4 days into the league. I think that is insane. And I think he's scoring 20-plus points per game now off the bench. That was very unexpected by me, and I think he's just going to continue to improve.
I think Davion Mitchell is actually quite almost a dark horse in this race that we got going
Yeah.
this year. I think he may not be expected, but I think he has the potential and the ceiling to possibly win that. But for me, I got my man, Jalen Green. I think he started at much more of an advantage than a lot of other college players did starting in the G League Ignite team.
Yeah.
So I think with that competition, that level of play is a lot different than playing college and
Very true.
all that. So I think he will start off and transition to the NBA a lot smoother than a lot of college players will, making that big leap this year. Although I think Davion Mitchell, with how Baylor played last year and Jared Butler, I think he will also make a strong case for himself this year.
I think just with Davion Mitchell right now, we're seeing the defensive prowess he has. I think it's one of the best defensive games in the league right now that I'm seeing. But I think if he can keep improving his offensive game and stay around that high double digit to almost 20 points per game, I think he takes this award easily. I do agree Jalen Green is going to put up some offensive numbers like we've never seen from a rookie, but I think it's going to be really close no matter who wins it.
Yes, sir. And honestly, I just agree.
Yeah.
So, Defensive Player of the Year. I think we might have the same guy here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Bam Adebayo this year. Although I have a dark horse for Giannis, but I'm going to go back to Bam Adebayo here. I think the Heat are easily the best defensive team in the entire league right now. You got Jimmy Butler, PJ Tucker, Kyle Lowry when he comes back off injury, and you got PJ Tucker too. That is brutal for any team they're going to play. And I think Bam Adebayo might just be the best defensive player on that team, of the best defensive team in the entire league. So I think it's going to be pretty easy for him this year.
And I agree. I think, honestly, Bam has been slept on very much in recent years. I think last year he had the opportunity to win it as well. But what I will say for the Defensive Player of the Year selection, it's a very small pool. It's usually only Rudy Gobert, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Ben Simmons, guys that we've seen before. But I think Bam is looking to make a big stride this year. And I think the Heat themselves as a team will go back to that 2020 bubble finals team. So I think they will really progress this year, and so will Bam.
I think, as you mentioned, too, it is that small group of players, too. And I think, with Ben Simmons probably not playing this year or playing very little this year, no one's going to want to vote for him. And I think Rudy Gobert, after winning 3 now, I have a very hard time believing people are going to vote him for a 4th one. So it's really just Bam and, whoever you want to put, maybe even Giannis for that 4th spot. So I think Bam's pretty clearly the front runner right now, and I think he'll continue to stay that way.
And yes, I agree. I think Bam has been a very good off-the-screen center. He's willing to get his own offensive-wise too, but I think defensively he's averaging at least a steal and a block a game just already this year. And so that is about all we have.
All right, we're going to send it back to commercial, and we'll be right back.
From adversity, we rose. We made history and became pioneers, voyagers, champions, Jayhawks. And when our chant rises, haunting and hallowed, Jayhawks are telling the world what's near. Victory.
For students searching for a way to stay active in an outdoorsy way, the City of Lawrence has bike trails running in every direction, and with the new bike share program, we can stay in shape as we tour the sights of our beautiful city. Clinton Lake is only a short 30-minute bike ride away from Daisy Hill and has the most incredible sunset location in all of Lawrence. Walking campus may give you the KU calves, but biking can give you the KU thighs. Bike Lawrence today.
Now they're beating us on the boards out there, guys. This is your territory, Grimson. Do your job.
Grimson. Hello? Hi, honey. What? Now? All right. The itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. And the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the spout again.
I love you, Daddy.
I love you too, sweetheart.
That's my girl. You know, my daughter.
Love. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
You may not hear it at first, but it's there. Our chant, rising. On this summit, callings converge, voices unify into a chorus that sounds out for good, for greatness. Can you hear it?
Welcome back to Take a Side. I'm Blake Sevenberg, and today I am here on Jayhawk Boulevard. We will be asking students their thoughts on KU's preseason basketball ranking and their expectations for the team this season. Let's take a look.
I think we're going to win the whole thing.
National championship. Easy. It's my final year here. I got to see one before I leave.
At this point, I think it's natty or bust. I mean, we got the three-headed monster with Martin, Ochai, and McCormick. I mean, at least Final Four or bust, but if we make it there, I expect us to finish it out. So, expecting a natty this year.
Based on what I've seen in the past, I don't see why they couldn't, pull out a championship. If anything, I think this year might be the year, especially because we got a lot of new players and we got a lot of old ones coming back. So I think it could be pretty good.
A natty. A natty. Yeah. Make up for freshman year. Got kicked off for COVID. Who's going to win the natty? So we need one this year.
Win the national championship. That's the issue with KU basketball is that even if we make it to the Final Four and lose out, we're all going to still be disappointed unless we win the whole thing. At least I will.
I'm expecting a lot of success right off the bat. We have a lot of older players that have come back. We've got new guys like Remy, who has a lot of hype generated so far. So I have high expectations for us to start right off the bat, coming out, showing that we deserve to be top 3 coming into the season.
I expect that we win the whole Big 12 and we go very far in the NCAA tournament, hopefully Final Four and Allen Fieldhouse, and the whole team can bring home a championship. Because if we're ranked at number 3 this early on, then who says we can't stay there?
I definitely say Gonzaga's above us, but UCLA, I mean, cool, they did good in the tournament. The rest of their season, they were not that good, so I think we're better than them. But I don't know. I think Gonzaga's probably the only team that deserves to be ranked above us right now.
Gonzaga's obviously good. I don't know who number 2 is. UCLA's good. You got the, but we can show them that we're number 1 at the end of the season.
I think it's probably accurate because we don't want to start off with too much of a chip on our shoulder in terms of just thinking we're the best and have to maintain those standards. So I think 3 is a humbling but honoring position, and then we can show our worth throughout the season and in March Madness when it matters the most.
Yeah, honestly, I think it could be a little higher. I think we're definitely better than UCLA.
Anything but a national championship's a disappointment. Should be preseason number 1. UCLA, way overrated. Chet Holmgren's going to be a bust, so KU number 1. Roll Jayhawks, yeah.
Thanks, Blake. It's always fun to talk about KU sports with the students on campus, and the answer from the majority is clear. It is a national championship or bust for KU basketball this year. And with transfers of Remy Martin and Kevin Martin, we're really excited to see kind of how KU goes from here. And then as well with that, we also have the return of Ochai Agbaji, David McCormick, and we also have DeJuan Harris at point guard this year. So it's really exciting for KU to see where they can go this year and Kansas basketball. But students are anxious, especially with the COVID year and everyone thought we were going to win the national championship then. It's really exciting to see the anticipation for this year's Kansas basketball season. But switching over to our next debate and our first hockey debate, I'm joined by Jackson Reed and Gabe Daniel to discuss NHL hockey and who is going to win basically the Atlantic Division and the Mediterranean Division. So Jackson, we will start with you.
What's up, Gabe? It's a great day. We get to talk hockey on Take a Side. It's been so long since I feel like we've had a hockey debate on Take a Side, and it's a great day because you and I, we love talking hockey. So let's start in the Atlantic Division. For a division winner, I have to go with the guys that have been there. They've done that. The 2-time defending Stanley Cup champions, I have to go with the Tampa Bay Lightning. My reasoning for that is Tampa Bay has plenty of forwards that they can roll out, and I know Nikita Kucherov is hurt right now, but especially when you look at Tampa Bay's roster, They have Matthew Joseph coming in. He's coming into his own, a young player who's on that second line right now. Of course, they have Steven Stamkos. And then even on the back end, they have Victor Hedman, Mikhail Sergachev. And, of course, they have the best goalie in the league right now, Andrei Vasilevsky. It feels like Tampa Bay would be a layup pick, but I feel like you have a differing opinion.
You know, it sort of close. Florida Panthers. I mean, thinking back to the playoffs first round, I thought Florida gave Tampa Bay the biggest competition. I know New York Islanders took them to Game 7, but, you know, the competition just didn't seem there as physicality-wise. But you also got to think about Florida. They have Jonathan Huberdeau, Alexander Barkov, and then Carter Verhaeghe's really stepped up his game, and then acquiring Sam Reinhart and Joe Thornton over the year. I know Joe Thornton's old as dirt. I'm not going to lie to you there, but he's a guy that's been in the league for a really long time. He wants to win a cup, and, you know, he's got the tools around him to do it.
My only counter to that is Florida just doesn't have enough experience. You are right. Huberdeau, Barkov, great players, and Spencer Knight back there playing goalie for the Panthers this year, great players. But my personal opinion is I just don't think they have the experience that the Lightning do because, like I said, Lightning, been there, done that, and their young guys got the experience last year. Matthew Joseph was on that Cup team. I really feel like Tampa Bay has the experience, and they have, of course, the talent, which, you know, we know about the whole $19 million over the cap thing. I personally don't think that's very fair, but you have to roll with talent, you have to roll with experience. I think Tampa Bay's got plenty of both of that. So what are your where do you see Florida beating the Tampa Bay? First round of the playoffs, second round of the playoffs? Where do you see Tampa getting knocked off, either by Florida or by any team out there?
You know, I could see Tampa Bay winning in the playoffs. I thought we were talking regular season, trying to win the division there.
Oh, you're right.
So with injuries starting to roll around early on, I think that's going to hit Tampa Bay. I could see them finishing second or third in the regular season, but once playoffs hit, you know, that's when Kucherov is magically going to be healed, and they're going to be ready to go on that run.
It totally seems like Nikita Kucherov is always ready to roll for the playoffs. But anyway, let's move to the next division. And a very controversial topic is, of course, that Metropolitan Division. You have so many good teams out there, and the Buffalo Sabres, who they've even started out great this year.
I never even thought I would hear you say that. Buffalo was the laughingstock of the league last year, and they're looking like a powerhouse this year.
We'll have to see what they end up doing with Jack Eichel. You can't be sure to what they would do with Jack Eichel, but out there in the Metropolitan, we have a ton of great teams. Who's your pick to win the division this year?
You know, it was a toss-up between the Islanders and the Capitals, but I'm going to have to stick with TJ Oshie and the Capitals.
That's a great pick. I think the Capitals is probably hotter than any team in the NHL right now. Started off really well. Alexander Ovechkin, the ageless wonder out there playing left wing for the Capitals. Great power play piece. TJ Oshie, like you mentioned, another great power play piece. Backstrom, you know, the Capitals seem to be another ageless wonder type team where they're very, very good, and they continue to be very, very good. Of course, they had the Cup run a couple years ago. My pick this year is going to be the Carolina Hurricanes. I think that's a team that a lot of people kind of write off because, you know, they play in Raleigh, North Carolina. There's not a lot of attention surrounded around Carolina this year, but they've got Svechnikov. That was a tough name to say. Svechnikov, and then they've got two really great goalies in Mrazek and Anderson on the back end. They have a great team, a deeper team than they had last year, and I'm excited to see what this Carolina team can do this year after getting knocked out in the playoffs last year.
And right you are. It's the same goaltending situation with Washington. They have Vanacek, who's really stepped up. He was a great rookie goaltender last year, and he's looking to continue that, especially as a backup role. So having that really helps out. And then you have Ovi, of course, like you said, who's coming for Gretzky's record, and you heard it here first. He's going to break it.
I agree with that. I personally think Alex Ovechkin will break the record.
And then you have Hendrix Lapierre, and then McMichael. I can't remember his first name. It slipped my head, but those two rookies really starting to step up. And then you have Kuznetsov, which is a name that really started to fall off last year. He's really stepped up his game. He's the second leading scorer on that team, and I think he's going to make a statement this year.
A name I also forgot to mention, especially when we're talking about forwards on Carolina, is Sebastian Aho, a guy who's really stepped up his game, kind of floated around the middle tier to another top 6 guy for a great team like Carolina, but he's going to progress and be better and better this year. And I feel like when it comes down to who wins this division, it's who's going to play better in division, who is going to beat the teams that are in this division. And then I think the winner, like whoever has the best divisional record is going to win this division, whether it be Carolina, whether it be Washington. It may be the Islanders too. There's so many good teams in this division, and it's so deep. And yeah, I really think that Carolina can have the best divisional record, and they're going to come away with the division win this year.
and I think Washington's going to be a scary team if they can stay healthy. That was an issue they had last year, and it's something that's already starting to happen this year with Backstrom already out of the lineup.
Gabe, it was great to talk hockey with you on Take a Side. Hopefully we can do this again, but we'll throw it back to the man in charge, Max McElroy, with the close.
And that is all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us. With many different sports both starting and ending this fall, be sure to get on the Sided.co or the Sided Debates app to follow along with some debates. And feel free to produce some content for other users to interact with and hopefully get you that Amazon gift card. We appreciate you watching. Be sure to follow us on both Instagram and Twitter at TakeaSide10. For all of us here at Take a Side, we will see you next week.